Hello everyone, my name is Amber Williams and today I'll be presenting an integrated lesson on technology based on natural science theme, animals and creatures that help us. In this lesson, learners will design and make their own mini worm farms to help understand our environment and how we keep our soil healthy, like we can see here in slide 1. This activity links natural science and technology by allowing learners to explore, design, and create. It also supports environmental awareness, creativity, and hands on learning. The problem identified from natural science lessons is how worms sorry, is how worms recycle waste into compost, which keep our soil rich and healthy. In technology, we use this idea to ask how can we design a mini worm farm for us to recycle food waste and create healthy soil for our plants. Our worm farms must follow a certain product specifications. They need to use recycled materials, be safe for learners, and allow us to see how worms move and decompose food. This encourages learners to think about sustainability and how everyday waste can be reused to help the planet. The technology process includes 5 important steps: investigate, design, make, evaluate, communicate. During the investigating phase, learners explore what worms need to survive and how they will help soil. During the design phase, they will draw their own idea for a worm farm and in the make phase, they will build their farm using recycled materials. After that, learners will evaluate their worm farms by checking on if their worms are healthy, if their designs work, and finally they will communicate their results by presenting the worm farm to the class. Each step supports creative thinking and problem solving through inquiry based learning. For my mini worm farm, I used a recycled plastic bottle, soil, newspaper, vegetable scraps, and I also wish I wanted to actually get like gloves um, to actually find some worms in my farm, but I wasn't so lucky to find worms in my yard. Um, but yeah, ideally I would have used worms to pick up the worms, gloves to pick up the worms. And yeah, I used scissors and I used a bottle spray to keep the soil moist and wet. So yes, this design allows learners to see how worms move throughout the layers and how the food scraps break down over time. I made sure my design followed safely guidelines and product specifications using recycled materials and makes this activity affordable, eco-friendly, and accessible. I did use all these products that I found easily in the comfort of my home, and it was not expensive. Obviously, everyone has sand if they don't have soil. And yeah, it was just a very budget friendly product. In slide 5, here is my checklist. My checklist was follow design safely, use materials correctly, warm form structure stable and neat, layers aligned correctly, worms are visible and active, and learners explain how it helps the soil. So that will be my assessment checklist for the make phase to see if children have followed and gone through with the criteria. Before we start the designing, I'll introduce the topic by asking why worms are important to the children before we go into this activity. This introduction helps learners sorry. Um, this introduction helps learners connect the idea of worms to real worlds and benefits like growing healthy foods and protecting environments. Obviously with asking the question, showing pictures, and showing them how worms really are real life pictures of worms in soil and helping the plants grow. My beginning questions will be, how do they help plants grow? What happens when worms move in the soil? And by beginning with a question, I obviously make learners curious and invite learners to think outside the box. This is a key part of inquiry-based learning, where learners explore before being told the answers. On this slide, I would like to show learners different materials of plastic bottles, soil, paper, food waste, and ask guiding questions such as, which materials are safe for worms? Why would we use recycled materials? And this encourages learners to think critically about the materials they choose and understand the importance of recycling. I would allow learners to touch or look closely at the materials and use their ideas for the beginning. This helps develop their observation, reasoning skills, supporting the inquiry-based learning and approach where learners explore and discover through guiding questions. Here I would show examples of different worm designs, and I would ask learners, which designs do you like the best and why? Which design keeps worms comfortable? How can we make sure worms survive? To get them thinking about what their worms need, like air, moisture, food, and we'll discuss the basic needs of living and how to design a farm that keeps worms healthy. And this step will encourage creativity, problem solving as learners plan their own design using the examples for inspiration. Before we start building, I would review our safety rules. I would remind learners to handle scissors carefully, wash their hands before touching soils, and handle worms gently. I'd then show a clear step-by-step visual on how to layer materials. For example, first bottle base, layer soil, followed by full scraps, top layer of paper or leaves. I also might play a short 20-second video clip or animation of composting works in action if I were in class and I wanted to get the children seeing more of what we want the worms to do or what our goal is, and so they can really see it and visualize it. And to conclude, in this phase, the evaluation phase, we will evaluate our worm farms to see how well they work. Together, we will look at the product specifications from slide 2 and check if the worms are alive, if the food scraps are decomposing, if the soil is healthy, and I will ask learners questions like, what worked well in your design? What would you do differently next time? And we'll use simple evaluation criteria that we saw in slide 5. Examples of stuff they need to see, and just ask them if we followed all the steps, if we achieved everything we wanted to. And then lastly, we will reflect. And through this reflection, learners develop an understanding sustainably of sustainability and learn to assess their own work. Key elements of assessment for learning in foundation phase. Yeah, so with this lesson, with this products, with everything we've been through, and by the stage of just looking back and checking off if we followed all the steps, hopefully learners will be able to see their past mistakes, grasp, and learn from everything that we went through and understand how worms and everything is integrated into one. So yeah, that is my slide, and thank you so much for watching.